Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, it's Leave It in the Ring.
And welcome back to another edition of Leave It in the Ring Radio. I'm your host, David Duenez, with my co-host, Amilcar. What's going on, brother? How's everything going?
I'm doing well, David, but not as good as you. The Don Dada, the CEO, the founder, the pioneer of all of this shit, Don David Duenez. Let's give it up, man.
Ah, look at that. Thank you. Talk about a good picker-upper there. I was overthinking, I should have got a cup of coffee or something else because I feel all drained right now. But then right now with the big cheer, that just got my spirits lifted up for us to talk some boxing here. Even though there's a lot of stuff here on Leaving the Ring today to talk on. Hey, really quick, guys, hit the like button if you're just tuning in. If it's your first time here with us on Leaving the Ring, I hope you enjoy the ride with myself and Amilcar. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when we go on live. It lets you know so you can come through, join us in the chat room. You can always call a number too if you want to talk some boxing or just want to add on to what we're talking about here on the show. You certainly can at 917-426-8296. I think I got that right. I'm not sure. I'm still remembering that now.
Let's actually do that in like 10 minutes, Dave, because I got to set that up. But I'll get it started so that in 10, 15 minutes we can take some calls.
Yeah, no worries about that. Because anyways, we got a lot of stuff here to discuss.
Yeah.
Should we go with here's our schedule, guys, okay? We're going to talk about last week's fights. We're going to talk about this upcoming week's fights. We're definitely going to have some quick takes about certain fighters that just happened to fight this weekend. And also we're going to play, we're not going to play, but we're going to look into the future of what's going on in the sport, okay? A couple of weeks will be the new year. So there is a lot of stuff to look forward for. I will answer some questions that we've been getting a lot here on the Leave It in the Ring Gmail. One is, are we going to do an award show? We are going to do one. I haven't discussed this with the Amilcar, but I don't think we're going to do it for this month of December. And I'll tell you why a little later in the show. I think it should be held off until the first week of January because if you really think about it, the fights are not done and over with until the end of December. Right, Amilcar?
Yeah, I agree. And as everyone knows who's a fan of the sport like we are, the big New Year's Eve shows in Japan take place literally at the last day of the year. So we always want to give every fighter, regardless of if he's in the United States or somewhere else, the opportunity to get consideration for these very prestigious Leave It in the Ring awards, which I know every fighter wants to receive, right, David?
Yeah,
bigger than the Leave It award.
Well, I don't know if I told you about this, but I'm actually having some like prototypes of a Leave It in the Ring belt. You know, so that they can all fight for over. Yeah. Might as well add to it. I mean, there's the Diamond belt, there's the Instagram belt, there's the Twitter belt. Why not the Leave It in the Ring belt? That actually sounds more official if you really think about it. The Leave It in the Ring belt, right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, fam. Let's see. Should we go with the? You want to go with the preview, or should we go with the review of what happened last week?
Why don't we go with the review first, and then we'll jump into the schedule because we have a lot to talk about. But, you know, it's fair to go with the review first. I think a lot of people probably want to hear that.
I think so, too. You know, since there was a lot of stuff did happen this past Saturday, which was a pretty stacked Saturday for us fight fans. What do you think, man? I was enjoying every little bit of it, you know. Not all the fights were stellar fights or worth keeping your eyes open, but you know what? I mean, starting from early on in the morning of Saturday, it was like waking up to Saturday cartoons, right?
Yeah, and I know what my favorite fight of the night was, but I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Amilcar, Bruce goes, what's up, Wildcard? What's up, Raw Boxing? What's up, Bruce goes? He had spelled your name some weird way there, man. You can see it right there in the bottom of the screen.
Uh-oh. Maybe I can update that.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's go first with AJ and Pulev. Right. Let's go with AJ and Pulev, man. I did my take about it immediately after the fight, after Anthony Joshua got the win over Pulev. Didn't get to hear your thoughts because you were busy on a road trip visiting some family members and stuff. So let's go with you, man. What did you think about that fight?
Well, I thought it was entertaining. It was actually a lot more entertaining than I thought it was. You know, I was talking a lot of last week about Huggy Bear and how I felt that Anthony Joshua was doing a lot of hugging in the fight. You know, I felt he still did do a lot of hugging, and I still don't think Joshua is very comfortable doing a couple of things. One being fighting on the inside, and the other being kind of, let's just say, extending himself to the limits in terms of his kind of aerobic capacity in the moment. So, you know, he gets a guy hurt, and he always now, since the Klitschko fight, seems to have that hesitancy about giving it his all. It could be a concern about his cardiorespiratory endurance later on in the fights. It could be his concern about getting countered like he was against Andy Ruiz. But you always get the sense that when he gets someone hurt, that he kind of holds back a little bit. And I definitely felt that happen in kind of the third and fourth round in this fight. But what cannot be denied is that he ended the fight spectacularly with that one-punch KO after Pulev got up. Quite surprisingly got up, actually, after being knocked down. I do still think that he did a lot of hugging in the fight, far too much hugging. But like I said in my preview of the fight, Pulev's game isn't the inside, and his game isn't, you know, quick combinations on the inside. His game is working off that excellent jab that he has and using kind of that amateur background. Unfortunately for him, Joshua controls the middle to long distance range against most of his opponents, and this fight was no exception to that. So for that reason, he dominated the fight essentially from the mid and long range, and there really wasn't much Pulev could do because he's not an inside fighter. What about you, Dave?
You know, I liked what he did, and I like I said, I mentioned this on Saturday. I like the fact that he was jabbing to the midsection, solar plex of Pulev, which would keep him standoffish, or even if any moment it went through his, you know, his head of saying, I need to close that distance. This certainly made him hesitant to do that. Okay, that punch there, especially when it's done correct, and you saw that Anthony Joshua was doing it. He was sticking it straight down that middle. He was taking that extra step that you need to get low so that your shoulders protecting your chin, and it would push Pulev back. Okay, I like what I saw there. You know, the thing is though, I still think that AJ is still trying to find his pace. Okay. I saw a lot of people were being very critical of him on Twitter. I thought it was actually Pulev was the right opponent because he, you know, Pulev, when he get given the chance, he was going to throw his right hand. He was going to throw his, let some big punches go. But it wasn't going to be like a consistent rush. You know, it wasn't going to be a pace the way you saw Andy Ruiz challenge Anthony Joshua. But to me, this was a good way for him to regulate how his legs, how he felt, his breathing. But is it ready? Does it make him ready for like a Tyson Fury or a Parker or even possibly a Usyk?
I don't think it does, and those are all much younger men. You know, I'm a phys ed teacher. I've got a master's in phys ed, but I don't really need one to tell you what happens to the human body, especially the male human body, as you age and as you enter your late 30s. I mean, I'm in my late 30s now. I'm not what I was physically, athletically, when I was in my early 30s or when I was in my mid 20s or when I was in my early 20s. It's just not the case. And let's face facts. Pulev was not just a 39-year-old with 39-year-old legs and 39-year-old tread on those tires.
Right.
He's also a guy who was very inactive for the last few years, you know, and who hadn't been facing the kind of opposition who has had sharp combinations.
Said on last week's show was that
seeing things. I'm seeing holes in his defense. I'm seeing a jab that needs improvement. and I'm seeing openings for counters that a 39-year-old Pulev could not take advantage of, like counters that I believe even an Usyk would be able to capitalize on, and definitely a Tyson Fury. And I'm specifically speaking, if you look at the fight, you're seeing it at times in the highlights we're showing. Right. He's wide open after throwing the jab, you know, and when he goes in kind of recklessly with either the kind of roundhouse right or the uppercut that he throws, again, he's wide open for counters. Unfortunately for Pulev, he just didn't have the skill set to cut. Like you're showing it right now.
That shows you that Pulev, his reflexes were no longer there. They were shot, okay? And, you know, it's a wear and tear in that ring, because every time, this was when you talk about matchmaking, like you're mentioning right now, that's the beauty of what a good matchmaker would do, is they would say, we need a guy that's not, it's going to be.
That to say that it would have been a competitive fight between Joshua and Joyce, I now see Joshua and Joyce as a competitive fight.
Nato just put out in the chat room. He said, "Shit, take Amilcar's microphone away." Hey, Nato, when he said that, it was.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Oh wow! I don't know. I hope that fight.
I'd like to see.
I'd like to see it. You know, but
sign me up for that, but I'm obviously signing me up for AJ Fury first.
Well, let's talk about this, okay? Immediately after the fight, Bob Arum got on his Twitter, and I don't even know if it's really Bob Arum that's tweeting. They say it is, but he said, it looks like the stage is set up for the biggest heavyweight championship fight since Ali Frazier in 1971, when Tyson Fury meets Anthony Joshua for the undisputed crown. We at Top Rank will start on Monday. I heard and I saw that Steve Kim tweeted out. He spoke to Bob Arum, and that Bob said that they already are in negotiations and they're throwing numbers at each other for this fight to happen. But here's the thing, though, Amilcar. You know, AJ has a mandatory, which is Usyk, and Usyk has already been very vocal about it, saying, "I will not take step aside money." So what does Anthony Joshua do? Does he drop that title? And does it matter much if he drops it?
Let me tell you what he does. He goes back, he goes on the YouTube, he types in Riddick Bowe WBC belt, and he does to the WBO belt what Riddick Bowe did to the WBC belt. To me, the WBO has always been a joke anyways. I mean, I barely rate the WBA at this point, and the WBO is an offshoot of the WBA. It's like, you know, the WBO's son that was disowned and like went off on his own to do his own stuff. I don't really care if Joshua has to drop the WBO title. It's still going to be the undisputed title. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Lennox Lewis did not need to defeat Herbie Hyde to become the undisputed champion of the world. Herbie Hyde was the WBO champion. Lennox Lewis became WBA, WBO, and IBF champion, undisputed champion, when he beat Evander Holyfield in the rematch of a fight that should have never even had a rematch because he fucking beat him the first time, but was robbed. Okay, let's just get rid of the WBO. Okay, I'm canceling the WBO. I don't need the WBO. I don't rate the WBO. You gotta cancel that.
You gotta cancel that because the Leaving the Ring title is going to be on the line as well.
The other thing I never have understood is why the fuck does Anthony Joshua pay sanctioning fees to the IBO? Who rates that title?
I don't even know. But
you
know what? Fighters like their titles, man. Here's some. Right, so
let's give out the LIITR title then.
Yeah.
Or LITR, sorry. Start making some bread.
Exactly. Here goes. Well, immediately after that fight with Anthony Joshua getting that win over Pulev, which was a sensational stoppage by him. This is what Tyson Fury had to say.
Anthony Joshua just shit himself live on television. He got asked did he want to fight, and he went around the bushes and put his arse on the edge. I want the fight. I want the fight next. I'll knock him out inside 3 rounds. He's a big bum dosser. Can't wait to knock him. Well, there you go, everyone. Anthony Joshua just shit.
Well, that's what he had to say on his Instagram immediately after Anthony Joshua got that win. And, he's showing he wants that fight. And I think he sees exactly what a lot of us are seeing, that Anthony Joshua, is it more smoke and mirrors with Anthony Joshua right now, or do you believe that he's on the right track back of possibly making it? Go ahead.
To me, Dave, the weirdest thing was after the fight when it's like Joshua wouldn't even say the man's name. It's like, do you want the fight, bro? Or like, do you not want the fight? Like, what's with the little, cutie pie? I want what the fans want. I'm the best version of Anthony Joshua. What do you guys want? I'm not the journalist. You ask the question. That's your job. No,
right.
Like, we want to see you fight Fury. The whole world of boxing wants to see you fight Fury. Stop being cute about it. Unless you
right.
Fight. Right?
Yeah.
I want the fight. You want the fight, right, Dave?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I'm guessing that all the people in the chat want the fight. I'm guessing Nando wants to fight. D Funky wants to fight. No Powell, Bruce. I'm guessing we all want the fight. Why doesn't Anthony Joshua seem to want the fight? Let's get this fight signed. I want to watch this fight. I want 2 of these fights in 2021 because you damn well know we're not getting Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford.
I don't know. I've been hearing different about that, But G-Funk says the WWF European Championship bout. That's a good one. Let's see. Nando puts the LIITR LIITR title. I don't know why we should make one. Ring Magazine had a bout. Why shouldn't Leaving the Ring have a bout?
We should have? We should just have the YTBC bout. Why don't we give out a bout? Right?
Pretty soon.
Dave, let's get you on there. Let's get G Funky. Let's get everybody on these panels. D-Style, Joe Habib. Let's just start our own sanctioning organization. We'll call it the YTBC, and we'll hand out a title. How about that?
Oh, well, I think we're on that road right now. Better watch out. YouTube is about to give out titles. That's what we're saying right now,
I love what Nando says. I want the fight in Vegas, you big dossers.
All right, so let's talk about this, man. All right, guys, what would stand in the way? Here's my fear. Here's my fear about this fight not happening. And definitely you got to think it's not going to happen until maybe summertime of 2001 because we're still in a pandemic. And this fight, they're going to definitely look for a live gate because of the fact that they're going to be able to generate more money. And both fighters are going to ask for a lot of money. I think that's why Spence and Crawford really haven't got into negotiations or a whole lot of talks because of that reason, okay? But remember this. I've always said Bob Arum doesn't move forward unless he sees that it makes sense. The dollars make sense, okay? Right now, he's got the heavyweight that everybody is talking about and basically everybody wants. So the biggest share is going to go to his guy, which is Tyson Fury, okay? But let's just say that Anthony Joshua says, I don't want to do this next. I need one more fight. One more fight. Does he take on Usyk or does he try to go for something more safe? And let's think about this, guys. There's a lot of wild cards in the heavyweight division right now. Let me ask you, Amilcar, and everybody in the chat room, if you want to call in, you certainly can. 917-426-8296. Let's talk some boxing here. Tell me, who should Anthony Joshua avoid if no Tyson Fury next?
Joshua should avoid everyone except Tyson Fury, because he is a very beatable heavyweight champion at the moment. So his next fight has got to be the big money fight against Tyson Fury, right? If he loses, he gets the guaranteed rematch. All right, from what I've heard, it's a 50-50 fight, 2-fight deal. All right, that's the fight he needs because, like I said, I think he's very beatable right now. We saw him knock out a 39-year-old on old legs, an inactive guy that has zero inside game and who went the distance with Rydell Booker. All right. He's got to take on Fury. What up, D-Sal?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got to take him on. But you know what? I mean, this is boxing. We all know that there's never really honestly a follow-through that has to happen. You know what I mean? There's nobody that really mandates you to actually take these fights on. Anthony Joshua could say, I'm not ready for him. I need one more fight. But what I'm asking you is, who should he avoid? Who's the guy that he should just say no to if they bring up? I think, honestly, Alexander Usyk is the guy that he shouldn't even talk about fighting, because Usyk has a very big chance of beating him, because he's not going to be like Pulev. He's not going to be there to be, to stand in front of him so he can tee off. He will probably nullify that jab. He'll capitalize on that jab that drops back down to his hip. But give me some other names who he should avoid. Excuse me.
I mean, you could look up and down the heavyweight division. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that can punch. The thing is, I don't really see it as much as him having to avoid too many guys, because unfortunately for these other guys, they're really not in a position to get a fight with AJ. Whether it's an Andy Ruiz Jr.
Was Pulev in a position to get a fight with AJ, do you think?
Yeah, only because, Dave, of the messed up fucking sanctioning bodies and the fact that he was ranked number 1. I don't know. We'll have to have kind of a look at the heavyweight rankings, but like off the top of my head, you've got guys like Joe Joyce, you've got guys like Usyk, obviously, Wilder, Luis Ortiz, you've got Andy Ruiz, you've got Dillian White, you've got Joseph Parker. None of these people really are in a position to get a fight with AJ at the moment, other than Usyk. So that's the guy he's got to avoid. I agree with you. He's got to avoid Usyk. None of the other people are really in a position to get a fight with Joshua at the moment. Having said that, I'm really looking forward to Joseph Parker against Junior Fa. I think the winner of that fight is going to make a claim as to kind of be next online after the ground clears following this unification fight.
Well, let's remember this. Nato brings out a good point here. Fury has only been dominant once in a championship fight. Let's not forget that. I mean, here's another guy too. Does Tyson Fury really want to face anybody else? I mean, if anybody out of the two, we both know he's the one's gonna go. He's the one that wants to push it. He's the one that's actually showing more interest in fighting AJ because he sees the flaws there. But shouldn't he avoid certain folks too? I mean, why put more wear and miles on your body if one of the biggest fights in history right now is right there at the grasp of your hands?
I mean, the only reason I do it if I was Fury, and this is just me kind of relating to him on the benefits of exercise and kind of in terms of your mental health and your like feeling well and like being active and all of those other things. Tyson Fury has said that he needs to be active, he needs to be competing, he needs to be exercising, he needs to be training to be healthy. So
right.
I think that was a big reason why he wanted his December fight. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. I don't know if that was as much to do with Deontay Wilder and his claims through arbitration or pending claims, or whether it had more to do with the fact that ESPN probably didn't want to pay him his guaranteed minimum of, I believe, $25 to $30 million a fight, to fight in a studio in England against a guy that really nobody cares about. But yeah, I mean, if you're Fury, I mean, you look up and down the heavyweight rankings. I mean, he's just schooling and dominating almost everybody on there. I can bring it up in a moment, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and of all of the guys that I've already mentioned, I don't really see any of them really troubling Fury. I think if Fury stays healthy, he's going to reign over this division for at least the next 3-4 years.
I think it's safe to say, though, that Fury has kind of fallen off mentally if he's not intrigued by the fight. Okay.
Yes.
After the first fight with Deontay Wilder, when they got the draw, he was taking on some guys that he should have really been able to kind of dominate and look silly. He was getting touched a lot. We got cut. He had a nasty cut. So he does show that if the fight doesn't have the interest that he's looking for, to the challenge, he does tend to fall to what those guys are doing and make it a little bit more competitive than what we should have saw. Okay, but let's move away from that. Okay, on that same day, same night, you had on ESPN, you had the young Shakur Stevenson, who got in with his opponent, which at best is known as a very good club fighter. And really, we just got what I expected and what I've said that was going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think I watched maybe 7 rounds, and then I sent out a tweet saying, okay, guys, I saw exactly what I thought I was going to see, and I'm heading off to bed. That's what I did. What did you do, Amilcar? Did you watch the whole main event all the way through?
I lasted 2 rounds, and then I got knocked out. Not by Stevenson's power, but more through just a combination of the fight starting so fucking late because of the college football game, which I got to admit was pretty exciting at the end with the whole field goal back and forth thing. But it's like ESPN, just put the fight on ESPN Plus already, or put it on ESPN2, or put the college football on ESPNU. Figure it out. You got Edgar Berlanga over there warming up backstage for like an hour and a half while we're waiting, dozing off here on the East Coast because of how late the fight is. You know, luckily I was kind of brought to life by the co-feature and how exciting that fight was. And I'm talking about the Nakatani Verdejo fight. But by the time that was done, bro, I lasted like 2 rounds and I just got KO'd. I was knocked out. And honestly, from what I saw in the highlights, to me it looks like rounds 3 through 12 were pretty much just a repeat of rounds 1 and 2.
It did. It really did. It was like Groundhog Day for Toka. It was Groundhog Day for Toka every time he went out there. Now, Troy Williams, Shakur looked good. He put on a clinic. Yeah, he did. There's not taking anything away from that, Troy. I knew that he was going to do that. I don't think there's anything to take away from Shakur of how good he is, okay? The thing is, like, on the same night, on Showtime, you had Chris Colbert. He went out there, and he was in a much better fight, more competitive fight. If you had to look at both guys, which what would you, if they headline again at the same time, which one would you, if they're being aired at the same time, which one would you, what would be more of your preference to watch? Would it be Stevenson or Colbert? How about you, Amilcar?
In terms of excitement, I guess I'd go with Colbert. In terms of, meaningful fighter within the division, I guess I'd go with Stevenson. I mean, for what it's worth, he is a very talented guy who's a top dog in the 130-pound division and who I'd like to see. I would just like to see him in against better competition. That could be Miguel Berchelt. That could be Oscar Valdez. That could be Rene Alvarado. That could be Leo Santa Cruz. It could be Joseph Diaz. It could be Jamel Herring. It could be, any number of guys. Just not what we saw Saturday.
Let's backtrack here a bit because Stevenson has already said Michael Berchelt. He's mentioned Diaz. He mentioned all these guys. Okay. But the one that he's bringing up is Carl Frappman, which I don't understand why. That fight doesn't make any sense to me. And also, I mean, Devin Haney's out there. Gervonta Davis is out there. How much longer is he going to stay at 130? Is he going to make the jump to 135? And if he isn't, why is he not bringing up Chris Colbert's name? That fight there would be really far more interesting than the guys that he's been facing, being up against as well. Now, is Chris Colbert to you the next guy that Showtime was pushing as saying that could be possibly the next star in boxing? Is that believable? Also, is Shakur Stevenson on your pound-for-pound list the way Timothy Bradley had been parading around on his commentary on the ESPN Saturday? Is he pound-for-pound? Did he make it there? Is he top 5 of your pound-for-pound list, this Amilcar? Come on, tell me. 100. Give it to me.
I've met Tim Bradley. I liked Tim Bradley for what he was as a fighter. I always thought he was exciting, despite the fact that he kind of lacked the punching power that would be associated with kind of an exciting fighter. I've met him. Very nice guy. I actually like his commentary a lot. I think it's very entertaining.
Same here.
I'm not one of the people that agrees that he ripped off Teddy Atlas. I mean,
Oh, he did.
if we're gonna have to do another episode that's like not live where we discuss that and just upload it, because Teddy's in his feelings about that one. Teddy's got his hand wraps in a bunch.
Teddy's pissed off. Let's be honest. Teddy's pissed off that Tim Bradley took his goddamn seat. Let's be honest, okay? The fireman got fired out of his seat.
But do I think that he is right? No, it's like, bro, you're like, every time we take a step forward and I keep defending you and then I convince someone about how great you are as a commentator, you say something like that and it's like 2 steps backwards. Every
time I get out, he just brings me back in.
How the hell can you have this guy as one of the look, I don't even have him in the top 3 or 4 at 130 pounds.
He's not even the radar for me, to tell you the truth. He's got, listen.
Come on, bro. You got like Tevin Farmer. You got all kind of guys in this division I didn't even mention before.
Right.
Right. Look, Jojo Diaz is still around. Like, what has he done compared to Jojo Diaz? I mean, to say that this guy's quote unquote pound for pound, like, look, the only people I consider pound for pound are people who are like the number 1 person in their division. He's nowhere near the number 1 person at 130 pounds. So I don't know what I don't know what Tim Bradley is talking about, really.
I tell you what, because Chris Colbert is in that division and Chris is very flamboyant, okay, he's got a fan-friendly style. Even though in those mid-rounds he was clowning around too much, had his hands down there, and I did tweet out like somebody needs to tell Chris that doesn't excite fans, okay? When you're showboating, if it's not like good showboating the way like Roy Jones would do, which he would showboat and then knock you down after he finished showboating, nobody's gonna care about it, okay? What we tune in is to watch action, all right?
I gotta say something about that real quick.
Go ahead.
All of the showboating that Jones did. Do you remember when Calzaghe showboated on Roy Jones at the Garden?
Oh,
sticking his face with his hand.
He's out. Yeah, I remember that. That was great. That was payback. That was payback for a lot of times that Roy Jones did it to other fighters that were lesser talented than him. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
But going back with that, now, okay, the pushes that Showtime and PBC are going to try to push this kid Colbert, which I like. Now, again, Shakur Stevenson, you can't deny his skills. His skills are there. You can even say that he's getting a little bit more stronger. His jab looked phenomenal against Toka, but it's like I said, at best, this guy was a really good club fighter. I would like to see if Stevenson's going to stay at 130, and he's not going to bring up like Tevin Farmer, or maybe it's true. Maybe none of these guys want to fight him. You have a kid here that Showtime's saying is going to be the next star at 130. That's the course they should be going for, and I think they should start, probably talking about each other, attaching each other's, names, because I would love to see that fight. I think that's a very good, explosive fight. I think that, if anything, we want to see Shakur be pushed to a limit, because let's be honest, he's been so dominant that in a lot of ways you could say it's like dominant but boring, right?
Yeah, very boring is actually. You got to have the very in front of the boring. I mean, when I'm falling asleep, and you know me, like I'm a huge fight fan. Like I watch paint dry if 2 fighters are doing it. You know what I mean? But even I have my limits, and bro, I was put to sleep on Saturday. It was James Lights Out Tony for me. Like I woke up, it was like the 6th or 8th round. I'm like, I woke up, my lady was nearby, like we decided just to go to bed because we were on the sofa watching this fight. We both fell asleep.
We did.
Meanwhile, during the Verdejo Nakataki fight, we were all on the edge of our seats.
Speaking about Nakataki fight, let's go into that fight there, okay, against Verdejo. what a great, sensational fight for both men, okay? I got to give credit to where credit's due. You know, I've never been a big fan of Felix Verdejo out of Puerto Rico. Definitely showed that he had his goods and stuff. But when he came out bursting into the scene, I saw a lot of people jumping on that wagon, and I did not see it. I have to admit, if you've been a true Leaving the Ring fan for a long time, listener, you know that I've never been a fan. And you know what I used to call Verdejo fans, fanatics. I used to call them pendejo fans, okay? Because I just knew that this guy was not going to pass that Tito Trinidad mark that everybody was hoping that he would do, all right? Tito's a very high standard. If you know Leaving the Ring, you know that Tito's like one of my favorite fighters, okay, of all times. That's the guy right there. I've never had a chance to interview the guy, but trust me, that's one dude that probably had me starstruck. The way I had when I had Marvelous Marvin Hagler on the show, you know, I could barely even get 3 words out without stuttering when I was talking to Great Marvelous. Okay, it'd be the same with Tito Trinidad. All right, but Verdejo impressed me with this loss. He did impress me there, Amilcar. He went out there and he showed something that a lot of us were asking for, which was guts, which was, you know what, getting hurt and keep going through. But was it the right strategy? Didn't it seem like he needed to get his foot off the gas just a little bit and maybe go back to the born Verdejo? Instead, he kept pressuring forward. Instead, he tried to make something out of something because he saw that it was kind of easy for him. Every time he shot off a fast pitch, it landed in the mitt of what's his name? Nakatami's face, right? So a lot of times when you see that, I've seen this, we know this, that spell when a fighter sees that, hey, you know what, I can land these big shots, I'm going to keep doing it. They fall in love with it and they forget about everything else. They forget that the other guy has 2 set of arms. And it looked like that not only did Nakatani's chin was holding up, but man, do you want to talk about being persistent? This guy just keeps coming forward and forward and forward nonstop, man. He just didn't want to let up on Verdejo that I started seeing in those mid rounds. His legs started looking a little bit more wobbly. He started slowing down and those punches were being really effective. But here's another thing about Nakatani's style. Not only was he coming forward and he's a pressure fighter, but dude, you got to admit, he has a hell of a good jab.
Bro, he has a great jab. And this motherfucker is a tough cookie.
Yes, he is.
We talked about it before. I think the problem with Verdejo was actually the fact that he hurt him early on the way he did. And for the rest of the fight, he just loaded up on all of his punches. You know, there wasn't a lot of variety in the shots because I felt Verdejo thought that he could literally touch him at any time and end the fight. And that just wasn't the case. Look, just as you said, David, you know, I'll say this here on the air. It's something that I was saying to you before the show. You know, I've got a lot of respect for Steve Kim. You know, I'm a huge fan of his writing, his podcast work. There are very few times when I've ever disagreed with him on about boxing. Well, there were a couple times, but they're not that many. The major one over the last few years, back when you were doing the show that he had on this network, was the kind of anointing of Felix Verdejo as the next Trinidad. I never agreed with that. I didn't see it personally. I saw it in terms of maybe the charisma and the aura that he projected and the love that the Puerto Ricans had for him. Mm-hmm. But in the ring, there was just no Tito there. There just wasn't. I mean, Tito's a guy who won his first title at the age of 20. Right? Tito is a boxing god. I don't just throw that term around lightly. He is a boxing god, Tito Trinidad. It's unfortunate that, you know, he had the later fights like with Winky Wright and with Roy Jones and stuff. But Tito before the Hopkins fight, that was a bad dude. Okay, that was a great welterweight, a junior middleweight, a middleweight fighter. Now, the problem I saw with Verdejo was the love of his power early on and the kind of false security he got from the early knockdown. But then what I saw from Mayoshi Nakatani out of Kindai University, 6 foot tall, lightweight, tough as nails. was his belief in his plan. You know, we often talk about guys that need plan Bs and plan Cs. Nakatani had a plan A and he stuck to it. He didn't care what was going on. He stuck to it. He believed in it. He kept pressing forward. And he kept with his 1-2 attack. And dude, he proved himself to be right because he ended up literally destroying Verdejo by the end of the fight, despite being knocked down early on. So I was very impressed by what I saw by Nakatani. I think he needs a new trainer. I think he eats too many punches. I also think he should probably relocate to the United States for a little bit.
I don't think a new trainer does anything for him. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, he's been fighting for a long time. Okay.
Too much of an old dog. He is 31.
Yeah. Okay, he's been a fighter for a very long time. He's not new to the scene. It's not like he just kind of arose and we, to us, to a lot of us Americans, he is kind of new to the scenes. But looking at,
I'll tell you this, Dave. I'll tell you this. Devin Haney gets fucked up by Nakatani.
I think so too. Look, if Devin Haney had a struggle with goddamn Gamboa, Nakatami's probably gonna walk through a lot of those punches.
Oh yeah, a lot of these guys at 135 pounds, whose names are not Teofimo Lopez, and I mean even Teofimo got taken to the limits by this dude.
Right.
And the Lomachenko fight also proves how good Nakatani is in terms of what he was able to do in terms of pressing the action with Teo.
That just aged well.
There's a lot of guys, not named Teofimo Lopez that I would consider a betting favorite at 135 against Nakatani. Okay, Gervonta Davis is going to have a hell of a lot of problems with Nakatani.
So that leaves a question here. Nakatani, does he deserve that rematch with Lopez? And honestly, right now, in the spot that Lopez is at, does he want that? Do you think he should take that fight on as his title defense, or maybe wait for Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell, and then maybe down the road see if Nakatami's still around to take that fight? What do you think?
I don't think Teo has much to gain from a Nakatani loss. He got the win. He can move on from it and kind of not look in the rearview mirror. When I look at the other names at 135, okay, unless they have to fight Nakatani, a 6-foot, 135 pounder who clearly has punching power, can clearly take a punch, and just as important as taking the punch, this is a guy that can recover from literally knockout blows and come off the canvas and turn the course of a fight.
Yeah,
what he got hit with were knockout blows. Let's not get that twisted. Like, those are blows that would have knocked out most dudes. Okay, Solis, not Solis. The name of his trainer, Solis,
Salas,
right?
Salas.
Sorry, Salas. Ismail Salas. Sorry, Ismail. He has his kids sitting down on his punches in a way that he was not in the past. And Nakatani took that, okay? Ryan Garcia, Linares, Javier Fortuna, Robert Easter, Lomachenko, you name the guys at 135, that's problems for them. Big problems. As I also think Fortuna's big problems for a lot of people at 135, and I've said that too. But
dude, there's a lot of deep. It's so deep in that division,
such a deep division,
very deep division, and that's what goes down to Felix Verdejo. Listen, I thought it was a great fight. Obviously, he wasn't the better man of that night. I was impressed. I've never been impressed with Felix Verdejo. But let me ask you guys. Does he retire after this loss? Because this got to admit, he was taking a beating towards the end. He wasn't taking a beginning in the first half of that fight. He looked strong, he looked sharp, and he was landing the bigger punches, and he hurt Nakatami not once, but numerous times. Or does he continue on the fight? I say he continue on the fight here, guys. I think that he could still serve up a lot of guys, and in a lot of ways, he's by far a far more dangerous gatekeeper than Yorkis Gamboa. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the end of. I think definitively it's the end of Felix Verdejo as the heir apparent to Felix Trinidad. Okay,
Look, you said.
I think we can put that to bed.
But yes, we could definitely.
Or let's not. I don't even know if he's going to get to Kermit Cintron levels at this point. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but Kermit Cintron won titles. Okay,
right.
He may become a titleist, but he still has the potential to be a high level fighter and maybe a gatekeeper at 135. I do feel that his management totally dropped the ball, though, in taking this fight. I don't know what they were thinking.
I think they were thinking, you know what? If we beat Nakatani convincingly, and that's what they saw, that's what Verdejo saw. He jumped all over it. You know, he dropped him, he hurt him, and he was like, dollar signs here because I'm in top rank. Teofimo is here. Teofimo needs another opponent, and with a great win, if I can knock this out, if I can knock out a guy that Teofimo Lopez couldn't do and went 12 rounds with, it only puts me ahead of the line to get a title shot at Teofimo Lopez. That's the truth there. Now, if you think Nakatani can beat Devin Haney, Verdejo, you got to admit, Verdejo's dangerous against Devin Haney as well. If you're talking about if you can't get a title, he could get that title from David Haney because even though David Haney is a big 135 pounder, like D-Style was saying in the chat room, you got to admit his punching power is not that convincing. His punching power really is about it's a little bit more convincing than Shakur Stevenson, but to me, it's not convincing that it's going to stop every 135 pounder that's put in front of him. He's going to have to rely on his boxing skills, and I think Verdejo gives him a huge run for his money and possibly even could probably edge and win over Devin Haney. Call me crazy, but I think it could happen.
Familia, man. All you need to know about this one is how many times have we seen Gamboa get dropped?
Yeah.
A little
he couldn't even drop him.
Medium or a lot. A little, medium, or a lot. Okay, it's like when I was at the doctor. Actually, I was in the emergency room a few weeks ago with back pain. It was fucking terrible. But the doctors kept asking me, "What's your pain level? Is it low, little, medium, a lot, rated on a scale of 1 to 10?" I mean, the amount of times I've seen Gamboa get knocked down is like an 8, 9, or 10. How many times did Haney drop him?
You know. I mean, look, think about this. Gervonta Davis had a tough time with Gervonta Davis too, you know. And I gotta agree with Matthew Thompson here. He said he's still only 27. Plenty of time for us to surprise us with the Madonna Zeke surgeons. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't write off Felix Verdejo, okay, and Nato just put down right now. I want to see Verdejo again for the first time ever. He did well against Nakatani.
Look, let me just restate what I was saying before. This is not over for Verdejo. He may become a world champion. There's no doubt about that. He still has a future ahead of him. He's 27 years old. He is just no longer the heir apparent to Felix Trinidad, a guy that won his first title at 20 years old.
I agree.
Okay. Felix Verdejo is 27 with 2 losses, bad losses, knockout losses, okay, and has not won a title yet. So let's just stop comparing him to these other all-time great fighters from Puerto Rico. That's not who he is.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with that, you know. So I think Verdejo is still a very much live, biting dog in this division, even though Nakatani was able to stop him in a great comeback fashionable way of what he did, because he looked like he was on his way out, and he looked like he was on his way to, if it went to distance, it looked like he was on his way of losing a decision fight there, right?
Yeah, it did. But you know what? let's come up with a name for him. He's like the Terminator. I'll be back. He came up from the knockout, right? You know what I mean? It was like the flesh was leaving his head, and all you saw was like the metal behind the skins. That the guy's really, really, really tough. And I was also impressed with his post-fight interview too. And he had that we were talking before the show about Marco Rubio and the dry mouth situation. Nakatani handled that one like a boss.
He did.
Can I just get some water, please? Okay, now what were you saying again? Yes,
Well, let's talk about, is he monster or is he hype? You were big on him. I'm big on him. I think a lot of fight fans are big on him. Who are we talking about here, Amilcar?
Monster or hype?
It's right there. It's right there on the screen. Take a look. Who are we talking about here?
Oh, yes. My man from New York City, Edgar Berlanga. Look, he is all truth right now, man. There's no hype about this kid at all. What he's doing is not easy to do. I mean, he is bossing people. He's hitting them on the gloves and making the glove go into the side of the skull and knocking people down. That's power.
That definitely is scary power.
Man. True power.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Raw Boxing TV says it's a bit of both. Bro, when you're knocking out 17 guys in a row, and when the last guy you knocked out in the first round, Andre Ward is saying is not getting knocked down because this guy's tough as nails and is in training camps and lasting in training camps and is in training camps because he's tough. And you dispatch that dude in the first round? Hell yeah, I believe in your punching power. Okay? I'm not saying he's unbeatable. I'm not saying he's not going to be taken out of the first round. But from what I've seen so far, dude's power is legit.
Hell yeah. I think so too. I mean, I think the question most fans now are having, 16 KOs, 16 wins. He's definitely on the streak here. Bob Arum saying that he hasn't seen a puncher like this since I forgot who he even mentioned. I think it was like Joe Frazier or something like that. That was just demolishing guys and stuff. Now the bet's going to be is who can last 2 rounds with this guy, because that's going to be an achievement there. You imagine the fighter that can go 2 rounds with them is going to go, down the stretch, he's going to go like, hey, you see that guy, Edgar, knocking everybody? I went 2 rounds with him. I lasted 6 minutes with the guy before I got knocked out, okay? Dude, exciting, and really on all honesty, pure punching power. It's been a long time we have actually seen a guy that can actually punch through their opponent the way he's doing it. Dude, he's punching right through them.
The last dude I saw doing this was Edwin Valero, which funny enough they brought up in the telecast. Okay, I mean, the guy is destroying people, and if I was his management, I'd get on the phone with Bob Arum. I'd tell me, look, book me for every top-ranked fight moving forward. I want to be on the undercard. And line me up some tomato cans. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to see him. I want to see what he does. I think anybody.
30 first round knockouts. Let's go, David.
Here you go. Raw Boxing TV says Chavez and Berlanga. Dude, you must really hate Julio. Berlanga, you really must hate that kid. Hate Julio Cesar, man. He would knock the ink out of that guy, okay?
Chavez versus Berlanga. Ooh, that's a good one.
No way that's not a good one. Dude, I mean you're going to get the little Mexicano killed. Forget about that. No way, man.
I said, if I'm Berlanga's management, you said I'm playing promoter here right now, Dave.
Oh, we're playing promoter? Is that what we're doing?
Promoter. Just do that drop if you have it nearby.
All right. You want to play promoter? Let's play promoter with Berlanga. Let's see. Where the hell is my promoter? Where's my promoter at, man? I got too much shit here. Here we go. You guys.
Let's play promoter.
Well, there you go. Let's play promoter here, okay? If you had Edgar, what would be the ideal fight for him to break out as a superstar right now next?
I said it. Let's keep the hype train going. He's still very young. Let's get the TV exposure going. I'm calling Bob Arum. I'm Berlanga's manager. All right. I'm Bob Arum, or I'm his promoter. I'm putting him on every single ESPN card moving forward for the next year. Line him up. So he just has to stay in shape. He's got to make 168 pounds. You start lining up the tomato cans, and if they can get Chavez in there, I doubt they would be able to. He'd be a good one, right? And then let's start building him up towards a title after that. Let's keep the first round knockout streak going.
I don't even think, honestly, as much as how this is what I'm saying. It's crazy as Julio Chavez Jr. is, okay, even with all the smoking and the Cheerios, eating Cheerios and his little tantarans and Speedos and stuff, I can honestly tell you that even if it went through his mind of fighting Berlanga, I think his dad would smack him in the back of the head and go, "No mames, güey." ¿Qué está pasando contigo, cabrón? ¿Estás pendejo? I mean, we know you're pendejo. I know exactly because his dad, senior, talks exactly the way my late grandfather used to, speak to us and stuff. There was like no filter. He'd tell us straight up, "Oh, you're so stupid. Why'd you do that?" That's Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. that he'd be telling his son right now. Thinking about fighting that guy, Nopales was saying Benavidez Jr. That's a good fight. Benavidez is only 23 years old. But you think that Benavidez Jr. would take that fight?
What did Canelo call him? Rocky Fielding. Right?
Who?
You get a few guys like Rocky Fielding in there,
Oh, God, he kills them. I don't even think it goes 30 seconds.
I think he might be able to do Rocky Fielding
He would definitely, let me tell you, he would definitely Rocky him into a field.
That's a good one.
Guys, you guys want to play promoter here? Call in, man. Tell you guys what you think, or just throw it up there in the chat room. 917-426-8296. Let's talk. Let's play promoter here on Leaving the Ring. Who else, man? Who else is out there that you would put Berlanga with?
We had a call. We had a call come in here, but I friggin' missed it. I was
having too much fun. You were having too much fun playing promoter.
If area code 209 is still out there, call us back. 209.
I think that's Nando, I think.
Nando?
Nando. Dude, here's a good one.
If you're out there, call right back. We'll get you right on. I'm sorry, I wasn't watching my call-in screen.
Here's a good one. Wildcard Show podcast said David Lemieux. Oscar can make that happen. That would be a good fight for Berlanga. I would want it. I would definitely. That I don't think
what about Curtis Showtime Stevens?
Is he still fighting?
Could we bring him out? I think he's got a name. He's from the New York area. He can talk. Didn't he talk about putting Lemieux in the casket? I don't know how that went for him. Maybe he could talk about putting Berlanga in the casket.
I don't know, man. Berlanga right now looks pretty scary. The only thing we don't know is what happens after that second round. What happens in the third or fourth round? What happens if you could take his punch or you can avoid those punches? Those are obviously the questions that everybody's having, but it's really fun to see right now what is evident of what the kid does bring in the ring, which is that punching power. There's no denying that this guy is a nightmare in terms of putting some blows on somebody.
We're gonna bring in a call right now. It's area code 501. Let's bring him in. We got him right here. I'm calling him in. Hello.
Oh.
Is Leaving in the Ring.
Oh, what up? This is Nopal.
Oh yeah,
Nopal. ¿Qué pasó?
Sorry, we missed your call, man. I'm sorry. I was talking too much.
Oh, it's all good, man.
What do you got for us, brother? What do you think?
So we still talking Berlanga?
Yes.
Yeah, we're still talking Berlanga. Yep.
I don't get it. Why are you guys trying to line up all these bums, man?
We're trying to get him to 30-0, baby. 30 straight
You guys
knockouts.
want to do a rewind of Triple G or what?
Oh man. Well, let me ask you. We're playing promoter here. Okay, so if you're his promoter, who do you line him up with?
Interim or what?
With who?
I said at 31, just give him a vacant opportunity for some kind of vacant interim title or what?
I was thinking of more of an email title.
Oh, email. That's a good one, man. But there's a couple good fights. But I see, that's a realistic way to look at it because that's exactly what Bob Arum's going to do. He's just going to line up these fights right now. And, I think that if Berlanga goes for that type of situation, not that he has a choice, he's just going to do a disservice to his own career because he does have like 175 amateur fights. Right. So the dude, he started off, with a good momentum already. So why would he ruin it by taking these kind of fights? I guess they build up his profile or something, but I think
they're trying to make they're trying to make him into a case of superstardom. You know what I mean? I think that's what they're trying to build him up. And I think they're doing pretty good at it, But like you're saying right now, what are they going to do? Keep padding his record all the way with fighting guys that he obviously is going to blow out through?
Pad him up, baby.
Yeah, line them up. Line up them C-class E-class fighters.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm thinking about the mainstream sports fan. Right, the guy that watches ESPN.
You don't care what the mainstream thinks, Amilcar. Get out of here with that.
I'm a promoter, David. I'm a promoter right now.
Oh, that's right. We're playing promoter. Okay.
I'm not Amil the phys ed teacher with the podcast. Dave Duenez. I'm the promoter.
That's right.
Right? Let me live out the fantasy,
okay,
man.
Go ahead. My bad. But Nopal hasn't even told us who would be the breakout fighter for his fighter. If he wants to get him out there, what would be your pick for him to get a breakthrough of showing you that he's the real deal?
Somebody like probably Rosado. I think that would be the perfect fight. 5 more first round.
Danny Jacobs,
Rosado.
He doesn't like Rosado.
Oh,
Kyle doesn't.
They don't like each other?
No, I'm saying you don't like Rosado, clearly.
No, I do. I think that dude's pretty cool, but I don't,
You want to see him get knocked out in the first round, though, bro?
Rosado, I don't see him get knocked out in the first round. Triple G wasn't able to do that. The dude, he scars a lot in his face, so that's why they ended up stopping that fight. But if you ask me,
that's true.
I don't think Triple G was going to knock his ass out. You know what I mean?
I got a new segment, Dave. It's called Let's Play Fanboy. We got to do that one another time.
Oh, man.
And I'll do the Berlanga segment. Because as high as
you
Tim
do, man. Because these Berlanga fans, they're getting pretty
Bro, no pal. I live in the South Bronx. Half my apartment building is Berlanga fanboys. The ones that watch boxing.
Hey, Amilcar, you should see the arguments we get into with these guys. They're like, oh no, he's just cherry picking. Fury's just going for the easiest fights. Canelo's just, he's got all these weight clauses on everybody, and then they turn around, but Berlanga, he's doing, they all of a sudden they're all very understanding, and they understand all the politics when it comes to Berlanga. They're like, no, we have to do it. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're actually talking shit about these legacy type fighters, and with Berlanga, you're letting them do whatever, like you got no expectations whatsoever. No, keep letting them knock these dudes out. These dudes actually have good records, man. Nobody wants to fight Berlanga. Like, okay, I heard that with Triple G, man. Here we go again.
Yep.
Triple G.
Well,
maybe we can get Berlanga an interim title and then have that count towards his all-time record of title defenses.
Well,
yeah, that's.
Here's Nato puts down Rosardo's perfect, but how about Jaime Murguia next?
Ooh, I think Jaime's too small though, isn't he? Well, he's
160.
Dude,
he's 160.
160.
Yeah, he's 160. I mean, he's a big dude, even for 160.
169, right?
He's not campaigning yet at 168. So he's still at 160. But I still think he's a big guy for 160. I didn't hear a thing you said, bro. What'd you say?
Oh, I think he's doing the 1 pound catch weight type thing right now. He's got the Longo weight going, so nothing wrong with that. But because it ain't for a title, but that's what Chicano has been telling us for weeks now.
I think we got our first candidate for Leave It in the Ring undisputed champion right now, Berlanga. Let's get that belt made up, Dave.
I need to get that belt made up and stuff. G Funky. G Funky. Are we playing Let's Play Fanboy now? It sounds like it, G Funky. All right. And Nopal, thanks for calling in, bro. I appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks, Nopal. We'll be in touch, man. Yeah, no problem, bro.
All right. And Raw Boxing, Berlanga needs. Oh, where'd it go? Berlanga needs to wipe Canelo's name out of his head. Needs to get it out of there, Amilcar. I think so. I mean, but you know what? Fighters need to attach themselves to who's popping at the moment and the time. So that's why he's doing it. It's the game that needs to be played, and I think he's playing it very well.
I'm calling for Berlanga Rocky Fielding. I want to see that fight.
Not Boneta? Boneta? You want to say Boneta? No. Berlanga, Boneta. That's what he said after his interview, man.
Let's get Rocky Fielding out here. Let's get him out. Let's get him out to the U.S. and give him a Berlanga fight.
Oh man, he's gonna be fun. I gotta admit, he's gonna be fun to watch and witness and see. What's next on the list, and it's gonna really be who can really last with him. Okay, but let's talk about the junior flyweight division, which is Jesse, who's also on the top rank Saturday card for the Shakur Stevenson main event, was Jesse Bam Robriguez. Hey, what do you think here, guys? Is he the real deal? Do you possibly see maybe a mini star here in the junior flyweight division?
It's difficult to tell, and the reason I want to say it's difficult to tell, as much as I like Jesse Rodriguez and the camp he comes from, all right, I'm a big fan of the Garcia team. Let's be honest, Sal Juarez. I mean, the minute you saw him in the corner, you knew this dude had like knockout loss, like tattooed all over his chest hair. Mm-hmm. It was really, really bad. So
you're not believing the power. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I'm a little agnostic on this one because Sal Juarez is such a bad opponent. I mean, 25-12-2. I mean, I can't get excited off of a win like that. Not the way I got excited off of the Berlanga win. Just saying. We just finished talking about him. So I think it's kind of still an open question. I want to see him face off against better top-level opposition, at the weight. I just do not think that Sal Rodriguez Sal Juarez was enough of a test. What do you think, Dave? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I think the way they're moving him is the right way to do it. Just like Berlanga. You know what? Yeah, I mean, are you going to move them up, or are you trying to build them up? I think we got a caller. Are you trying to get them, build the audience? And I think right now the seed that they're planning is that these guys are the future. They look good. And like everything that Bam is doing, though, goes to the body really good, goes back to the head. He's got good ring generalship. I think he's going to be a handful. But in all honesty, if they're looking to build him as a star, and that's where they're going to go, he's going to have to go to Japan, and he's possibly going to have to move up, let's be honest, to flyweight, because we have two big stars in the flyweight division right now, and they're fighting against each other on New Year's Eve. So those are big assignments there.
The lower weight classes, all the meaningful money is in Japan.
Yeah.
And by the lower weight classes, I'm not talking about featherweight and even bantamweight. What I really mean is the super flyweight and the flyweight and the junior flyweight and the minimum mini flyweight division. Those are all the big money in those divisions is in Japan. And by big money, obviously, I'm not talking heavyweight money, but solid paydays. Unfortunately, the people here in the United States just don't care about those divisions enough. And where in places where they do care about it, whether it's the Philippines or Mexico, there just isn't the money for these fights that there is in Japan. So I definitely agree that he's got to go to Japan to get these big fights. That's essentially what Chocolatito did. And
Absolutely.
Chocolatito made a nice living for himself, signing with Tekken Promotions and getting paydays through that promotion, and obviously living in his homeland in Central America, in Nicaragua. So I think that's what he's going to have to do.
Yeah, and the guys that they're at flyweight waiting for him, even like now JC Martinez is at flyweight, but the two other guys who are going to be facing each other, by far one of the best fights at flyweight, and it looks like it might be fight of the year. You have what's his name, Aika and Tekana. I think that's how you pronounce their name. I could be totally botching their name and stuff like that. But I've watched them.
We're waiting for that fight before we give out the end of the year awards. So
yeah. But that's why I say possibly that could end up being like the just the real icing on the cake for 2020. These two guys are going to bring it. One guy's 15-15. One guy's moved up, or I think this is going to be the fourth weight. I mean the third weight he's going up, and he's only got 15 wins. 15 KOs, and you know what I mean. Everybody talks about Lomachenko, but this other kid Takana is like, dude, he's a sensation. So that's what I'm looking at for Bam. Now it's too early to say for him to jump up at flyweight, but those are the guys that are potentially there waiting for him to break him into that superstardom at the flyweight division. Now we've always said this. I mean, I have never said this, but a lot of times folks are like, well, more money goes with the heavyweights or even like the middleweights and even the welterweights and stuff. It's really rare that you see a big flyweight event where they're going to make big bucks. Bam, being Mexican, could do that. Just the way that Carbajal did, he broke into the $1 million bracket. Bam could do that because of these other guys that are in the division at flyweight, which is the weight above the junior flyweight. So there's a lot of potential, but it's just really relying on Top Rank and Top Rank's team, the matchmaking, to move them up, to get them to that position, and that's what I'm hoping for. They get them there because there are really exciting fights in those lower weight divisions.
Bro, and can you imagine if he moves up and then takes on Julio Cesar Martinez? That is a fight. I'm not saying that that's going to happen immediately, but if it were to happen, that is a fight. And look, these guys in these lower weight classes are action fighters. Moving forward, Julio Cesar Martinez is probably going to be taking on McWilliams Arroyo from Puerto Rico, and that guy's a good fighter. The lower divisions are stacked. It's high time that people in the United States started giving a damn about it. I'm hoping the ESPN starts to televise these fights, even if it's on ESPN Plus, because the talent is there, the skill set is there, and true boxing fans appreciate the lower weight classes.
Absolutely, we all appreciate every weight class. I mean, I remember at one time I didn't care for the cruiserweight class until I started paying attention to it and started realizing, hey man, there's some good fights. Now it's really stacked at the cruiserweight. Well, it's kind of dying out because everybody's leaving, moving up. But I mean, it's still worth mentioning and still watching, worth watching and stuff. Flyweights right now too. I mean, every weight from flyweight, featherweight, going all the way up to lightweight. Man, welterweight. If you really think about it, every division right now. Every division, is worth talking about. You could do the state of the game on every division, and trust me, you can have a ring robin with all the fighters that are in these divisions. I mean, 2021 is starting to look really sweet.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that we're pretty much done with our quick takes here. Oh, no, we're not. Actually, we're not. I do want to talk about on the undercard as well. Clay Collard, he got on there, which is a very exciting fighter. Talking about a club fighter, but he really captured everybody's imagination. Okay, the guy was going out there. He stopped the prospect. He's basically was the guy that was like a trump card that was, you bet against him. You thought he was going to lose because of his fighting style and really wasn't a recognizable name, but he was doing so much there that everybody started falling in love with this kid. We had him on Leaving the Ring. We were able to interview him. And you really think about it, he kind of had like a Rocky story, but as a sparring partner, like Spider, from Rocky. He was kind of like that. But he lost. And we knew what we were getting. We knew the order that was being served to us by having, Clay Collard getting involved in boxing. I'm just wondering, why is everybody so surprised? Or why are we writing this kid off? You know what I mean? I mean, he was not going to be like Andre, Arturo Gatti or Mickey Ward or any of that. To me, he was more like a really poor man's version of Ricardo Mayorga. I brought that up to you, Amilcar, off the air.
You did.
But why are people so surprised that this kid lost? And why are we writing him off? I mean, I watched him because he was entertaining. He was fun, and the fact that he was giving guys he was giving guys that were supposedly supposed to beat him, giving them problems in winning these fights. It just made it that much more fun. But I knew eventually that when somebody with footwork, head movement, and with a jab, that was going to give him problems, and it was going to stop him in his tracks, and it was going to let him know that you can't be focused on two sports. You got to be focused on one sport. And I think that's what it was his downfall. But I knew the writing was on the wall. What'd you think about that?
I agree with you 100%. And the problem with boxing is that people believe that people always have a puncher's chance and that there's really no skill involved, and that if anyone just lands a punch, it can be over and anyone can really, rise and reach Rocky fandom, etc. Look, it's a sport. It requires skills. It requires experience, just like anyone else.
Right.
Yes, there are upsets, but it's not just something that anyone can enter on a part-time basis while doing something else. And yes, MMA is doing something else. It's not boxing, okay?
Right.
And see that, right? And this is a guy who was quite clearly saying all along, I don't know, maybe I like boxing, maybe I like MMA. I can't choose between the two. I might like MMA, I might like boxing. No, bro, you got to choose the lane.
Yeah.
It can't be one, it can't be the other. This isn't a bathtub where you're putting your toe in and checking whether it's warm or not. With boxing, you're either all in or you're all out. Okay?
Boxing is a very jealous and selfish sport. I've said this a million times, okay? She does not want to share you. And Clay Collard found out on Saturday night. She doesn't want to share you. You have to pick one or the other. Now, but I told you this when we were talking about this. I said, this is the thing that blows my mind about Clay Collard, saying what he said. Okay, even he told us on Leaving the Ring. Remember that? He's like, well, I got a deal already set up for the new year, going back to MMA, but I want to continue boxing.
Well, that's a deal that just got you an L, bro.
It got you an L. But here's the thing that blows my mind is that when he said that, I was thinking like, dude, you know how many people play the lottery and never hit it? You actually hit the lottery in boxing.
Dude, you're fighting on ESPN.
You're fighting on multiple times, and people wanted to watch you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to believe there's two things there. One was that he was separating his time with both sports, okay, trying to learn two crafts, and because the other one thing was because he didn't have the proper management. And a lot of times, guess what? The guys like this that are more known to be club fighters, they don't have managers. They actually have to kind of manage themselves. They have to get everything together. And even with the money that was coming in for Clay, I'm probably thinking that's what probably happened. Didn't have somebody to really sit him down and say, listen, dude, you actually dug up by accident a gold nugget. We need to be smart about this, okay? He fought 6 times this year. That's kind of unheard of. You know what I mean? You imagine if he would have just kind of hang back and said, no, let me practice my footwork. Let me do a little. I had told him, remember, on leaving ring, don't do too much. Don't change too much. Okay, because what you're doing, it's working. But there should have been a little bit of play of matchmaking on his end, okay? Because it was a little too early and too soon for him to go up against a boxer in the same year when he was becoming kind of like a underdog club fighter sensation in boxing, right?
Yeah, I agree. And look, Raw Boxing TV, he hits the nail right on the head. He says boxing fans need to be re-educated on the sport.
Yes.
Look, you've got different levels of boxing fans. You've got guys like us, David, who have, had some experience as amateurs and as trainers, and who kind of know how difficult boxing is and how much thinking is required in every second of every round of sparring and of fighting. And you have people who watch the sport and think that, yeah, you throw a punch, you land it, and anybody can be heavyweight champion of the world. That's not how it works. So you got a guy here who I guess a lot of people thought was going to be the next Mickey Ward or Arturo Gatti, who was going to win fights on guts and grit, and it just doesn't work like that.
No.
So I was telling you before our broadcast tonight, I always saw Clay Collard as a guy that was going to be able to test prospects, right, on something that is very important, which is the gut check, the chin check, the heart check, any of those three tests to determine whether they can get to the next level. I didn't realistically see Clay Collard as someone who was going to be a world champion fighter. Now, if people thought that he was going to be a world champion fighter and are now a little bit disappointed, well, I'm sorry for those people. But that is not how I saw Clay Collard. I saw him as a very competitive guy that was tough as nails, who would bring out the best in an opponent and would likely become a gatekeeper type fighter at his top level. You can talk about how you saw him, David, but that's how kind of I saw him.
Right.
So no, I was not surprised to see that he lost.
No, I was not surprised, but also was not part of the team of saying I want to see him lose or eventually he's going to lose. I actually was kind of like soaking in what he brought, okay? But I'll tell you, he's at 168, hey, he could take a punch, he comes forward, and he's fearless. Who would you want him to fight next? If everything's done and he's looking for a big payday to run out into the sunset and Top Rank needs an opponent for right now, their monster hitter, Berlanga, why not put him in there with that? Would you want to watch that? I would want to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to kind of jump up in weight just slightly, right? I think.
No, he's 168 as well.
Yeah.
He fluctuates from 168 to 175.
Well, then there you go. That's a good test because we know that he's tough. We know that he's tough. Berlanga hits so hard, man. We got to start this whole.
The Collard, though, I mean, he's got a good chin. We've seen that, and he comes forward.
You're being a very good matchmaker right now, man.
All right, let's listen.
Doing the matchmaking, is it Bruce Trampler, I think is his name?
Oh yeah, Bruce Trampler from Top Rank.
All right, well, we can get Dave Duenez replacing him because that's a very good fight, Don Duenez.
I'm telling you.
Right now.
And it's best because, Collard is, honestly, I mean, it could have died out, but I don't think it does. I got to tell you, I like to see the kid back. But if I'm going to end up, just using him up and spitting him out already, why not? For a kid that I'm trying to build up as a star. But let's get to the weekend fights that are coming up, starting with, believe Friday. I want to pull up that fight schedule there, Amilcar.
List right here. I've got the list right here. If you want to go through it, Dave. But yeah,
let's go.
This weekend we've got the Triple G Zarameta fight. That most fans are looking forward to on Friday. Apparently, Triple G says he doesn't know much about this opponent, and he's been relying on Jonathan Banks to do all the kind of the prep work for it. personally, I'm going to admit my bias here. I like to see underdogs win, and I'm hoping to see Zarameta win on Friday night. What about you, Dave?
I want to see. I mean, I think that Triple G is gonna, put in a lot of rounds. I possibly is gonna stop him in those later rounds. But I think that we're gonna end up hearing what we normally hear when Triple G gets hit a lot is that he looks old. When he fought Steve Rose, he looked old. When he fought, so and so, he looked old. I think that we just need to accept this is his fighting style. He rises to occasion to the level of Canelo, because that's really honestly the only A-list guy that he's really got in there with. Where even with Danny Jacobs gave him a big run for his money. So I think this opponent is to keep him preserved. Like I've always said, it's you know what? Let me tell you this. Anytime a casual fan goes, Dave, do you think boxing ever gets fixed? Do you think that the fix is in boxing? I say of course it is, but it's not. It's still very obvious, but it's not obvious to the casual fan. Okay, this guy is there as a fix for Triple G to move forward, to still keep him in the limelight or keep us in the sights of boxing fans, to remind us that he's still there lingering around the 160 division. Okay. That's what this fight's all about. All right. I'm curious to see how he looks. I'm also curious, is he moved on from Canelo, or is he still looking at his eyesight still looking for Canelo, because he's got to move up to 168 if that's what he's looking to do. Or are we going to hear on Friday night Charlo's name or Andrade's name or even Saunders' name? Are we going to hear any of that from Triple G, or are we going to hear him still continue repeating Groundhog Day about Canelo?
He only wants one fight, and it's Canelo. And I'm honestly done with Canelo Triple G. I've seen what I need to see. I know what's going to happen in the third fight. Canelo's going to win. Triple G's older, slower, and Canelo's already figured him out. I don't need to see a third fight. Dazn did really bad business by signing him to this huge deal. But that's their problem. It is what it is. But yeah, so we've got Zarameta, Triple G on Friday. But I started with that. I shouldn't have, actually, because that was kind of my North American bias over here. Mm-hmm. Actually, tomorrow, early in the morning, David, we've got Tim Tszyu versus Boywin Morgan from Australia. And like you, I'm a huge fan of Tim Tszyu. I'm a huge fan of his father. I use the word boxing god earlier in the podcast to describe my feelings towards Felix Trinidad. I got to tell you, I was a huge fan of Kostya Tszyu when I was younger. Kostya Tszyu's a boxing god. This is his son. I'm not saying it was immaculate birth and he's Jesus Christ, but I'm a big fan of Tim Tszyu. How about you?
I'm starting to get there. I want to see more of Tim Tszyu. I want to see, definitely be tested. I think that keeping him active and what I've seen from him, now he definitely doesn't have the boxing god punching power that his dad brought, but I think he's very durable. I think he has good strength. I think he has good power. It's definitely power that's going to keep you humble. So I'm excited to see everything that he's doing next, man. The only thing is, I don't even know is it going to be televised? Are they going to tell? I mean, are we going to be able to see it? Or
I'm actually Googling the shit right now because I want to know if this is going to be on ESPN Plus.
I don't think it is.
Which is terrible because ESPN Plus should be putting up all of these kinds of fights. All of these kind of fights should be on ESPN Plus
or Dazn.
Yeah, or Dazn. So it is what it is. I mean, we'll probably find the stream. I'm gonna get up early tomorrow to watch it. I like Tim Tszyu. I'm a huge fan of his dad. I felt that he absolutely punished and destroyed Jeff Horn in the last fight. I was actually feeling quite sad for Jeff Horn, to be honest.
I like Jeff Horn. Yeah, I feel you. I like Jeff Horn.
I like Jeff Horn, and Jeff Horn is also a fellow member of the teaching profession. So I've got that for part of the fraternity with him as well. And nobody likes to see a fellow teacher get smashed like that in the ring, unless it's a fellow teacher who's undermining you and trying to look good in front of parents. But I digress. On the next list here. I've got Wilfredo Mendez, Alexis Diaz from the Dominican Republic. Honestly, I don't really know much about that fight. Apparently, it's going to be streamed live on YouTube. So,
which is on Fight Hub, right? It's going to be. Is it part of the Thompson card? The 3-2-1. Is that what we're talking about here?
I'm not sure if it is, but I know it's gonna. It says it's gonna be streamed by Sean Boxing, SHAUNBOXING on YouTube. So that's tomorrow night from the Dominican Republic.
Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. There's one on Friday, I believe. It's on with Fight Hub.
You're probably thinking about the Fox Sports card, which is the Emiatas Stanionis. I'm guessing he's a Greek. He's Greek. Versus Yaner Gonzalez, and that's from the Shrine Auditorium and Expo Hall in Los Angeles. That's on Fox Sports tomorrow night. So big up to Fox Sports for giving us some midweek boxing.
Yes.
Then we have Charles Conwell versus Madiyar Aksheyev, and that's from the Wild Card Boxing Club in Hollywood, California.
Which would be on Fight City.
Man.
Yeah, Fight City.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's our Fight City card. And then Thursday, we have a DAZN card for all of you who re-upped on your DAZN memberships like I did after canceling. You've got Francesco Pantera versus Devis Boshiero, and that's going to be on DAZN on Thursday. So it's a stacked week of boxing, bro.
It is.
Because then we have the Friday card with Golovkin and Zarameta that we already described. And then I know you're excited about this one, my man. We've got Gilberto Ramirez against Alfonso Lopez, and that's on Fight TV pay-per-view from the Galveston Island Convention Center in Galveston, Texas. And that's happening on Friday as well. So that's kind of a counter-programming event. Dave, I've got to get your opinion on Gilberto Ramirez, and you tell me what you think about what's going on with his career at the moment.
I don't know what's going on with his career. I mean, they went free agent, him and Hunter. I see what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know what to say, to tell you the truth. I'm actually interested of seeing how he looks. That's on Fight TV, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta.
That bad? What is he? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's a good question.
That's a big power behind you. That's power moves right there. You think you got ESPN, you got Zanfer, you got Top Rank, and you're leaving them to go to fight on Fight TV pay-per-view from a convention center in Galveston, Texas.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. I don't see what they're right. I mean, I think no. Well, let me take that back. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut out the middleman, build up their own base. They probably feel like they have their own base that's going to come out and pay for this money, and then possibly get a bigger fight down that line. That's the only thing I could think of, the only logic that I could see of why they would do that. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, or maybe Ramirez just doesn't want to face tougher fights. Fighting Lopez is not a tougher fight. It could give him some good rounds. Lopez is a tough kid, but it's not going to be a fight where, you know, he could possibly lose. He could. It's boxing, but I don't think that. I don't think that's the route they're going. I think this is just more of a control issue. I want to control my own career. Michael Hunter did that same thing. Said, I want to control my own career. And that's where they're going with.
Yep. I gotta agree. I gotta agree with that. And the very following night on Showtime, I think it's time for Millie, meaning me, to re-up my Showtime subscription. Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Raymar Gaballo. It's on Showtime, Mohegan Sun. It's Saturday, December the 19th. Counter programming. Dude, I don't really understand all this counter programming. It's like, why are you going head to head against Alvarez, Callum Smith? But I guess they're deciding to do that at Showtime. Espinosa.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Some people don't have DAZN. Some people don't have Showtime. So they can counter, program each other because they know that there are some old heads that still won't use an app or download an app because they think it's more difficult, or they believe in their mind still, like, I don't want to watch it on my phone.
You know what this reminds me of? And I'm sorry if we've got any kids listening, but it's like whenever I'm going on a road trip and, you're on the highway and you see like these advertisements or these like billboards for like these video porn, like friggin' stores, like to get off the highway to go buy porn on DVD or whatever. It's like, dude, there's the internet. Like, who's going into these video stores in 2020? You know what I mean? It's like every time I go on a road trip, I see these like.
Where did that come from? Hey, you must have saw a lot of those signs on your trip this past weekend, man. That was out of left field. I was actually shaking my head like, hey, you know what? He's right.
It's like, who goes into a video store to buy or rent porn in 2020? I don't understand this.
It's those same people. Those same people that don't. Well, I'm saying there's the same people that don't use. There are still people that don't use the internet.
Right? Okay. Well, there you go. So that's what it is, I guess. I mean. So I guess that's the group that Dazn is going after, because
Dazn is smart. I mean, if you saw the article I sent to you, and anybody out there, did you guys read that article?
I meant Showtime. Right.
Dazn understands that, and they came out aggressive. And you know what? They end up realizing that, and we talked about this on Leaving Ring, and Aficionados talked about this, was saying that eventually they're going to have to try to. They're going to have to try to get in bed with a cable network, because it's not going to be enough just for, to push this, this app deal. There's still a lot of people that won't download it because they don't understand the full format of what the app does. That you could put it on Apple TV, you could put it on your, Fire Stick, if you got a smart TV. I mean, I still know people. My cousin, who I went to go visit like 3 weeks ago, I was like, hell, I could throw this fight that you want. He wanted to watch some particular fight. I go, I could throw it on there. And then he's like, I don't have a smart TV. And I'm like, damn, dog, this is 2020. How could you not have a smart TV?
Serious.
But,
at least a smart TV, like a Roku stick or an Amazon Fire Stick or something.
Right, and then like I said, Dazn just put out, which on a cable network, saying $70 for the Canelo and Smith fight, which would be considered like a pay-per-view, but it's really not, because they're giving you 4 months with that Canelo and Smith fight. Okay, that was part of the article that I read.
That too.
But anyways, let's get back to that schedule.
Yeah, so then obviously we have the Canelo Alvarez fight taking place Saturday, and that's the big one, all right, for the people who are willing to invest in some form of internet television, all right? And we've got Canelo taking on Callum Smith, and I mean, this is the big fight of the weekend. I mean,
right.
Callum Smith is a big, strong 168-pounder. He won the World Boxing Super Series. In my estimation, he's the number 1 168-pounder in the world. Okay, and Canelo's taking him on. Canelo's not taking on Caleb Plant. All right, Canelo's not taking on, any of the other 168-pounders that are out there in boxing. He's taking on the top dog in 168-pound division. All right, he's not shying away from top level competition. He's not taking off on Billy Joe Saunders, although I don't know if Billy Joe would have been a much easier fight than this. But he's not shying away from a strong test. I do feel that David Benavidez would have also been a strong test, but I cannot complain about Callum Smith at all, and this is who he's taking on. So.
Well,
I got Canelo in this fight, but I anticipate a good competitive fight. What about you, Dave?
Well, here's the thing. David Benavidez' name has been brought up. David Benavidez doesn't have a title, though.
Not anymore. He lost.
He lost that title, okay. BJ Saunders, I don't think BJ really wants to fight him unless he's getting like a shitload of money that he really doesn't deserve, because
even though let's not call him BJ. That means other things. Billy Joe.
I'm gonna call him BJ because his style blows. Okay, let's just admit. Okay, his style blows. Anyways, let me get back to what I was saying. Callum Smith. I mean, I see some folks are like, he's a bum and he's this, which I hate that word bum. Or what is this guy doing? I mean, this guy won the World Series of the World Super Series of boxing. Okay, the guy's notable, and he has the title. And this is actually a good fight for Canelo, especially with the pandemic. We really didn't know if we were ever going to see him back in the ring this year, to tell you the truth. But he's back. I think this is a good test for him. Smith is tall. He's a full-fledged 168. It's not like he's being weight drained. He's not coming up from welterweight to meet Canelo here. He's coming up to really challenge him here. So I think this is a good fight. I think it's going to be just to lead him on to other big things out there. Not to say that David Benavidez' name is not still available, but I think that, it's going to really get us to go, okay, can Canelo, is it going to go 12 rounds with a guy named Smith with Smith, or is it going to be a short knockout? Because, see, knockouts sell fights. And remember this, like Lennox Lewis, when Canelo was on HBO, Lennox Lewis keep referring Canelo as a power puncher. And I used to puzzle me all the time, like, he's not a power puncher. Here with Dazn, I see what they're doing. They're instead of saying it out loud, they're trying to get KO reels, okay? And that would only bring more people to watch him, more people to tune in, okay? I still want to see him get in with Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant is a very difficult style. I think he's a far better fighter than Smith, but I know what I'm getting with Smith, with Canelo stepping in the ring with them, which is a stay busy fight. It's no shame of saying that. Triple G's getting that. Canelo's getting that.
You're not trying to say, though, Dave, that this is a Rocky Fielding type fight?
I think it really kind of boils down to what Canelo's going to do. Canelo's not a killer, man. I mean, let's just be honest here. He's not a guy that tries to jump all over you. He's very methodical. He's a counter puncher. He likes you to come in. Smith might decide to use his height and his range in a jab, and it may end up being dragged out to be kind of a boring fight. Let's remember this. Canelo didn't really go after Danny Jacobs. He was content just counter-punching him the whole time. So who's to say that Canelo's not going to want to have rounds? But who's to say that Canelo's big shot to the body, which he throws very well, could break down Smith?
Yeah, I mean, we saw what John Ryder was able to put on Callum Smith. He put a whoop ass on Callum Smith. He put a lot of leather on Callum Smith. So, I haven't seen that much leather on anybody's, well, I was going to say anybody, but since the Raw DVD, or back then it would have been stand-up special of Eddie Murphy. I mean, he put a lot of leather on Callum Smith. And it's that fight, actually, that's got me confident in his abilities, being Canelo, to kind of win this fight convincingly. I do not think it's going to be a Rocky Fielding type fight, but
are you 100 though? Are you with that?
I don't know if I'm 100% on this one, but I was 100% on the Rocky Fielding fight when Canelo was taking him on.
You know why I'm not convinced? I know Smith is a good fighter. He's a legit 168. But the one thing that I'm looking at is Canelo. I'm looking at his body. I'm looking at really the inner anger he has, that he hasn't been able to fight this year more than once. I think he wants to come out and make a statement. But like I said, he's not one of those guys that seek and destroy. Okay, he's one of those guys that will systematically just break you down and go to that body. Smith is very tall. He's going to be vulnerable to that, for the body part of him. And I think Canelo will capitalize on that, okay? But then it could fall back into like the Danny Jacobs type of feel, where Canelo was content just countering, slipping, making Danny look for him, okay? And just, jabbing him, outboxing him, picking his spots, and just peppering him up. And, he could definitely make Smith look silly. To me, it really comes down to Smith of using his jab and using his height. He's going to have to really use that against Canelo, And I think, if all honesty here, Amilcar, the only guys that made Canelo fight for a fight to get in there and try to mix it up is, let's be honest, Triple G, Arislandi, and even Floyd Mayweather. When you make him the lead dancer, he really doesn't know what to do. He likes to step back. He likes to wait for you. And Smith may have to do that. Draw him in. Make him start first. And then he counters off of that with those long arms, okay, and that height. But it's to be seen.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the strategy if you're Callum Smith. Use that jab, attack, and try to get Canelo off the back, off the back foot. I just don't. It's just difficult to see how this fight goes. I just kind of see Canelo setting the pace, using the jab, feinting, going to the body, breaking him down, and when he's ready, attacking for a kind of KO finish. That's how I see it in my head. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I think if there's a stoppage, it would come around the 9th or 10th, and I think it would be not a stoppage from a punch. I think it would be a stoppage of accumulated punches from Canelo that the corner of Smith throw in the towel and wave it off. He doesn't come out. He retires on his stool.
I agree. That's what I see. But I can envision an upset here. I mean, we're talking about two guys that have had very short training camps for these specific opponents. I understand they've both been in shape the entire pandemic.
Right.
Both been training, but they haven't both been training for each other. This is essentially a 4-week camp for two fighters. And honestly, I can't think of the last time I've heard of a fight where two guys have had such a short training camp for such a big fight. So
I mean, they've been training for so long. I think, like I said, I think all that testosterone is just building up for both these guys, especially for Canelo. Troy asks, how's Smith's jab? Is it long enough to keep Canelo off his, he put ribs, but I think off his feet is what he was trying to say. I don't think Smith jab is one of the A-class jabs that we've seen, but I think it could keep you humble. But I've said this a million times. Establishing a jab and keeping a stiff rod out there like that, we were talking about those porn billboards, and I just said stiff rod. But now you got where my mind is going. But
sorry, man, but it's the same demographic. The guy that's driving to go rent porn at the video store is the same guy that can't figure out how to fucking get the zone or ESPN. I think you're right, David. The fighter that's going to be able to establish the pace and set the tone and tempo of the fight is going to be the one that has the success.
Well, going back with that jab, though, let me finish what I was saying about that jab. Is a lot of folks don't understand, to have a jab like that is something that Smith had been working on from the beginning of the year, because it's really hard to just keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. Your shoulder ends up feeling like mush. And then if you don't have a prepared jab and conditioned jab, then you start dropping your jab. And he's going to really need that left hand or whatever hand he's going to be using to protect himself. Because Canelo, you got to admit, he knows how to zero down on your mistakes. And that's what Canelo likes to do. That's why he's a counterpuncher. He likes to sit back and watch what you do, and then he likes to fill in those pockets of what you've left open for him to go over there and pickpocket you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And
Outlaw puts out there, these guys have been training for a while. Now 4.5 week notice won't affect them. I agree. I don't think it affects them, but it definitely affects whoever doesn't come in and implicate their plan immediately. Okay. And I think personally, Canelo always goes in with the same plan, which is counter. You got to pull him out of that rhythm. You got to pull him out of that mindset. And how do you pull him? Force him to be the aggressor. Force him to come forward, and then you can capitalize. So that's what I'm hoping to see from Smith. Did they watch a lot of tape of Canelo? Or, did they see that when Canelo makes mistakes is when he comes forward, because he's not very comfortable in doing it. And that's when you can use your jab. That's when you can be conservative with the jab. When the guy's coming forward, you stop him in his track. You jab at his face. Bam. Stop him in his tracks and stuff, When Canelo wants to use that head bob, using that head bobbing, Smith is tall enough to see him. To see the bottom of his head, and he can pick him right up with an uppercut. That's what tall guys are supposed to do. A tall guy is not supposed to allow the shorter guy, the stockier guy, to invade their space. But is he strong enough? That's my question. Is he strong enough to keep a bulky strong? And even though he's a counterpuncher, Canelo's got good footwork. He knows how to close that distance when it needs to be done.
Maybe Callum Smith should be watching a lot of Lennox Lewis, David Tua Friday night, before he goes to bed. Because you're right, he's got to be able to maintain that distance, use his height, and keep the shorter, stockier guy at bay.
That's a tall order. That is a tall.
That's a very difficult task to do, And Lennox Lewis is, again, I'm going to revert to something I said early on in the podcast. Lennox Lewis is a boxing guard. So, Callum Smith, not quite at that level yet, and I don't know if he ever will be, but we'll see. That's why we're going to watch this fight. That's why we re-upped on our Dazn subscriptions, Dave, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Outlaw Kovala has a better jab than Smith, and Canelo still got to him easy. Decision for Canelo. Wildcard put Kovala's jab was great. Busted up yard. That was the punch. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I said, for Smith, for me to think, look, I'm giving you what I think he needs to do. Can he do it is another thing. And in all honesty, a jab is the easiest punch to throw because it's the first one you learn, but it's the hardest one to master. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but trust me.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's tough to master, and we only need to look back at what we were reviewing earlier in the podcast with Anthony Joshua, unified heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, his jab is extremely flawed.
The zone ain't dead yet. I agree with you, man. Everybody was putting the nail in the coffin against the zone.
Yeah, we all to re-up. My lady loves that show Snowfall on FX. She's got me watching it with her every now and again, and it's like we got the zone's got that crack, that boxing, and us as boxing fans, we all need that fix. So the zone's got the product. They just got to keep the fights coming, and we're always gonna subscribe and pay that money if the fights are good, right, Dave?
Absolutely. So let's go down with your pick here with Canelo versus Smith. Who do you got? What do you think? Are you gonna be 100 with it?
I got Canelo. Can't say 100. Probably couldn't call it about a 90. Right. 95. I think 95 is fair.
So you got Canelo by stoppage or by decision? What do you think, man? You're playing it out in your head. What do you think the conclusion is going to be with that fight between those two?
It's a tough one. I just haven't seen Callum Smith in with anybody like Canelo, so it's tough. I mean, George Groves is not Canelo, No. And John Ryder's not Canelo, and John Ryder took him to his limits. I can definitely see Canelo getting the stoppage. Will it happen? That's the question. That's why I would never bet on a fight like this. I'm just going to go with Canelo by win. I don't know if it's going to be stoppage or not. I'm sorry, Dave. Sorry about that.
No. I'm looking at, and thank you, Julio Diaz. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. And welcome to the show. Glad you're tuning in and listening here. Like I said, I think the body shots, if Canelo, and he's one of the best in the business, if he's able to get in there, which I think he is, I think he's very quick in his feet to close that distance. I think the countering, if Smith decides to try to jab, I think Canelo is going to take that away immediately. But I also believe that the footwork and the movement, just in the upper part of his body, is going to confuse Smith. Okay. Let's not forget, too, when you're throwing punches and you're missing them, Danny Jacobs can vouch for this. It tires you out and it discourages you, okay? So I honestly see like 3 to 4 rounds of Smith trying to establish something. It's never happening, and Canelo's able to pepper him up. And I think slowly and little by little, because like I said, Canelo doesn't come out like a killer, but he can close that show if he sees that, you know what, it's a little, I don't have nothing to worry about that's going to come back at me. So I could see a stoppage, and like I said, I'm going for a 9th and 10th round stoppage. I was going for a decision, but after looking at everybody, what they're putting down here in the chat room and reading, I think the body shots are going to make a major toll on Smith, and I think strongly possibly the corner may throw in the towel and say, okay, there's nothing we can do. We're not doing anything to this guy. We're not catching him, and I don't think we could turn this fight around. We know Canelo's got a tremendous chin. So I go by stoppage for Canelo.
Arguably one of the best in the game. If anyone's out there, we've got a few people on the chat that want to call in. 917-426-8296. 917-426-8296. Call us. Give us your prediction for the show. We've got a lot of people mentioning in the chat. Come chat with us on the phone lines, man, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'd like to hear your guys' point. If not, throw in your prediction here on the chat room, and we'll post it up here on the show, okay, and put you on record here on Leaving the Ring. Hey, just really quick, some announcements here. Hispanics Causing Panics should be on right now. If you missed the live show, don't worry about it. It'll be on the rotation on Leaving the Ring, as well as Ringside Reporter. They come out every Monday as well. We throw them up there on the rotation. If you don't have if you haven't got us on your Pandora list, say add us there too as well. We're always here on Monday. Just we weren't this Monday because Amilcar was traveling, so he wasn't around and available at that time. He was actually, you just were really tired, you know. So we decided to do it here on Tuesday. So let's see. Jesus says Canelo by body shots wins by unanimous decision. Let's go. You know, wild card put. Yep, lots of fighters this year have COVID, ring rust. That's a strong possibility. That's going to be something there to find out as well. Even though you're in training camp, you know, let's be honest here. Sparring has got to be an issue. You don't know whether or not these guys were getting the right amount of sparring. You know, and also too, sparring is sparring. It's not actual fighting. That's what a lot of trainers would tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here goes with Troy. What are the odds for Smith by decision? Do you think it's worth betting $20, smaller dollar amount, just to see what happens? $20? I don't see why not.
$20, why not? Go
yeah,
with 20.
$20 is a 12-pack right there.
Seriously.
Go for it. You know what I mean? I don't see the problem. What are the betting odds? Do you know what the betting odds are for this fight here, Amilcar?
No, but I'll look them up real quick and see. I'm sure that
Outlaw got Canelo by decision, so that's Outlaw right now. You're on the record there, my friend. Hey, Sidnado says I'll be slurring next time. Next time for sure. Thanks.
Right now, apparently Canelo's at a minus 550, and Callum Smith is at a plus 450. So, yeah, I mean, it's not super wide. I mean, it's
not wide, and I think it'll probably get either wider or it's going to get really closer on Friday.
I think usually what happens is with these fights is that money starts coming in on the underdog late, and the odds kind of seem to narrow towards as the fight gets closer.
Right, and the Brits are going to come strong for their fighter. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are thinking about betting on Smith, the earlier you do it in the week, the better odds you're going to get. And honestly, if you're worried about losing $20, maybe you shouldn't really be betting right now. Yeah, go ahead and put $20 on the line, man. I definitely gonna. I mean, look, fights are always more exciting when you're betting. You
know, if I was a betting man, a gambling man, I would definitely do it, but I'm not. You know, I don't know why. I don't know why. I've never been into like gambling and stuff. Yeah, I've never been intrigued by it. Matthew Thompson, gonna put my pick in stone. I like Canelo by later stoppage.
Good. Thanks for letting us know, and I'll take note of that. And on Monday we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll get back to you on that, man.
Oh, really quick. Let me. I wrote it. Hold on. Okay, because yes. Let me. Okay, really quick before we end the show here, because I think we're almost about up and all that. We're all talked out. What's been going on? Just to make a quick feedback here, some folks hitting us up on the Leaving the Ring Gmail. Hey, thanks for everybody that's tuning in to the Leaving the Ring Roundtable. Much appreciated. Thanks. I'm happy that you guys are enjoying it. Some folks are asking where it's at. It's at the D-Style channel. So on YouTube, so go to D-Style's channel. You'll find it there. What I'll do is I'll post a link here on Leaving the Ring so you can witness it live. Also, really quick, people asking
about Dave.
Go for it.
Anyone who doesn't want to watch the full show, because obviously not everyone can watch the full show live. Mm-hmm. We do post the clips to the show, like the best parts, the best of, here on the Leaving in the Ring channel.
Oh, that's right. Brandon Lee, Jesus just put down. Brandon Lee is fighting on that Showtime card as well as Boots. So that should be really interesting. I hope he gets tested there, Jesus, to tell you the truth, man. You know?
Same.
You know? And I think Wildcard just answered my answer with Boots, in his fight against his opponent. Okay, but here real quick, the other thing too is again, a lot of folks asking about apparel. Are we ever going to do it? I'm actually, I did make some orders, but I'm going to try them out because I know that, especially with my hats, I like a certain look, you know? So as soon as I get those in, I'll wear it, and then you guys make a decision if you think we should just continue, like if we should continue to buy them, and then we can put them in stock, and then I can definitely set them out. I don't think I'm going to, honestly, guys, I don't think I'm going to do like a Leaving the Ring store or anything like that, or sell anything. I'm just very appreciative that guys tune in and listen to us. I think this is our way of paying you guys back and stuff. Either that, or me and Amilcar have been talking about maybe playing a game, like a Jeopardy type of deal, and we can give you guys a chance to call in and win, I don't know, some shirts and hats and stuff from Leaving the Ring. Two, about a lot of questions about the Locker Room app. So because I didn't have a set time, I did sit down and spoke to the guys from Locker Room. If you don't know what that is yet, I did put some videos up on the YouTube channel and stuff. It's like a 15-minute, quick takes of what's going on in the sport. I get on there, but you can download it to your iPhone. Unfortunately, it's only for iPhone. I've seen some people asking, is it going to be on Android? It's not. They say they're not doing it yet. Maybe later in the future. I know.
Come on, Locker Room. Get the Android out. I'm an Android guy. Most people are Android.
Exactly. So hopefully that gets all like, yeah. Troy goes for Gordon. Come on, bro. I got your back right there. Don't even worry about it. Of course. But going back about the shirts, he was talking about the shirt. But go back with the Locker app. Download it. It is on your iPhone, and you can actually, when you're listening to it, you can swipe to ask to be on stage with me, and I could pull you in if you want to talk boxing or just throw your quick thoughts about what's going on or the topic I'm talking about. So that's every Wednesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. And like I said, those are just really short takes, okay? I'm not going to be on there for like an hour or anything because I'm actually just doing it in between work. Anyways, but other than that, man, that's all I wrote. I apologize if I don't answer you guys back and stuff, man. It's just my schedule's really crazy. It's really swamp and stuff. I am a blue collar fella, just like you guys and stuff, So, I wish I got paid to do this, to talk boxing, but I don't and stuff, So I still have to make a living the old traditional way, which is with my manos and stuff. Again, everybody, I appreciate everybody that came through. Join us back again on Monday night here at 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern time. If we didn't get to your questions here in the chat room, I apologize, but we'll definitely get to it next week. If not, call in. We're here. We're going to be here every Monday unless something comes up, but more likely we'll be here Monday. Again, don't forget, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go on live, man. Amilcar, any last words, brother?
No, just thank you for everyone for listening in, especially for those who call into our show and chop it up with us live. Enjoy the fights. Check out the Tim Tszyu fight. If I do catch a stream, I'll try to send it out on Twitter. I don't really give a fuck because at the end of the day, it should be on
Right?
on ESPN Plus. And if it isn't, I'm gonna share a stream. So, but yeah, thanks to all of our listeners, and I look forward to seeing everyone. I'll be on the round table Thursday with D-Style and the rest of the Leaving in the Ring family and invited guests. And I keep promising to post. I will post this weekend to the Amilcar channel. Either I probably won't do it after the fight because I don't want to counter program my family like G Funky. I'll probably jump on his thing, but I definitely will post on Sunday morning. So anyone who's gonna want to join me on that and talk boxing, I'll try to bring in a couple guys from the UK, a couple people from here in the East Coast. If you're there on the West Coast and get up like at 7 a.m., join us. Get your coffee ready. All right. And join us on. And so always great. David, thank you. You the head guy. Leave it in the ring. Let's keep it moving. And
Keep it moving, brother. Yep.
Thanks everyone for listening in.
Yeah, and remember, too, real quick, because some folks like, hey, in the beginning of the year, you said you're going to bring these some other shows. I'm still doing it. I'm actually working on another show that we're going to add to Leaving the Ring. I think you guys are going to really like it. I think it's going to be really fun and stuff. So just keep an eye out for that. It should be up by the end of December, before the new year starts and stuff. Again, guys, don't drink and drive because you will spill your beer. This is your boy, Dave Duenez, signing out here with my partner, Amilcar. And we will definitely get back on here and chop it up with you guys and stuff, man. Hey, I gotta find my music here, man. Where's my stuff at here? I don't know. Anyways, you guys stay safe, man.
All right, take care, everyone.